Hey everyone, today we are going to be making some peyote stitch tube beads and turning them into this pretty bracelet. To make the tube beads, I'm going to be using 2mm Delica shaped seed beads. I have one in this transparent mauve color with a pearl coating, and another one in a transparent mauve color with an aurora borealis coating. I'm going to be using this black polyester thread conditioned with beeswax, and I'll have a link to a video about thread conditioning in the description box. I've got two lengths of thread threaded onto my big eye needle. They're each about 2.5 feet long. It's probably way more than you need, but better safe than sorry. We're also going to need about a 12-inch length of this silky polyester cord, and then another smaller length of that same cord, probably about 6 or 7 inches. We're also going to need a sharp pair of scissors and a lighter. I'm also going to be using some 8mm round beads as spacers between my two beads. I'm going to use a matte white Delica bead to put on as my stop bead. And all you do is go through it 3 times in the same direction to form loops around your bead to keep it from falling off. Now I'm going to pick up 3 transparent beads, 3 opaque beads, 3 more transparent beads, and 3 more opaque beads, which gives us a total of 12 beads going on to our needle. I'm going to pull those all down to my stop bead, and then I'm going to pick up 1 more opaque bead. Using peyote stitch, I'm going to skip the last bead that we previously put on and go through the second opaque bead. From here on out, we will be using peyote stitch, so I'm going to pick up 1 more opaque bead, skip 1 bead, and then go through the next one. Next, we are going to stitch on a transparent bead. Then we will stitch on 2 more opaque beads and another transparent bead. That brings us to the end of the row, so now we'll be working from left to right. I'm going to be stitching on 2 opaque beads and then a transparent bead, 2 more opaque beads, and another transparent bead. We're at the end of the row again, so now we're going to be working from right to left. This time we're going to stitch on 2 transparent beads and 1 opaque bead, another 2 transparent beads, and 1 opaque bead. And since we're at the end of the row again, that means we're going to start going from left to right. I'll stitch on 2 opaque beads and a transparent bead, 2 more opaque beads, and another transparent bead. Working from right to left, we're going to add 2 opaque beads and a transparent bead, another 2 opaque beads and a transparent bead. From here, we're going to take the pattern we have and repeat it. So you're going to do exactly the same pattern again, and your piece will end up being twice as tall as it is now. And here's what you have when you repeat this pattern a second time. You've got this lovely little diamond shape in here. And then we're going to take that same pattern and repeat it a third time. So you end up with a piece that is 9 beads high on each side. Now I'm going to fold my piece in half and start zipping up the ends. So I'm just going to go back and forth from side to side, going through the bead that's sticking up on each side. And once you've cinched the whole thing up, what you're left with is this nice little tube here. And I'm going to start finishing this off by going in through the bead right above the stop bead. Make sure not to go through the stop bead itself. And I'm going to snake my way up through the beads, making sure to do at least 1 or 2 circles and change directions so that when I snip off my tail, my thread will not come unraveled. And once I get back to the edge, I'm going to snippety snip it off. Then I'm going to take off my stop bead and do the same thing to finish off the other tail. And there is your finished tube bead. You are going to make 6 more of these tube beads, so you'll end up with 7 tube beads in total. And then we can move on to the assembly. I'm taking both of my lengths of polyester cord and I'm heating them up with a lighter to make sure that the edges can't fray. You don't want to melt them too much, just like a little itty bitty bit. And then on one of the ends of the long polyester cord, I'm going to pinch and pull it out just a little bit while it's still warm to make a little built-in needle. You definitely want to be careful when you do this so that it's not too hot when you're pinching and pulling. I'm going to start by putting one of my 8mm round spacer beads on, and then I'm going to follow it up with a tube bead, and I'm going to alternate spacer and tube beads until I have 8 spacer beads and 7 tube beads on my cord. Now I'm going to snip my little makeshift needle off and I'm going to tie each of the ends in a simple knot. I'm going to overlap the ends like this, and I'm going to take my smaller length of cord and tie it around both. Now I'm going to tie alternating square knots underneath of that initial knot. I'm starting out with the left side being on top and the right side going underneath. And then when I tie the next one, I'm going to have the right side on top and the left one going underneath. And I'm going to keep alternating until I have a nice size square of square knots. And when I think I have enough square knots, I'm going to cut off my end pretty close to the knots and then use my lighter to melt it just a little bit and tack it down to the knots. I'm going to do the same with the other side of excess thread. And now I have an adjustable bracelet that will fit most people. If I were making this bracelet for myself, I would make it so that when it's fully open, I can just barely get it around my hand, so that way the extra lengths when you pull it closed aren't too long and annoying. But since I have no idea who is going to end up wearing this bracelet, I am going to leave it this length until it's time to customize it to fit them personally. And here is a little variation that I made on the 2 beads, where I only made the beads half as long and then only 2/3 the height. So when you get finished with your peyote square, it should be 6 beads wide by 6 beads high. And you can see on this one, because the beads are much shorter, there's a lot more articulation in the bracelet. And I have used these 6/0 silvery seed beads as my spacer beads. Thank you so much for watching. If you enjoyed this tutorial and you want to see more like it, please be sure to throw me a morsel of a subscribe, a crumb of a like, or a tasty tidbit of a comment. And if you really want to support this channel, you can find all of the items that I feature here available on my website, as well as some patterns, design graphs, and bead kits. So check it out at Xerelia.com. I will leave the link in the description box for you. Okay, bye!